a couple weeks after, here we are with Xbox and them raising the prices on not just one game, but they're saying every major Xbox first party game. I'm assuming. I don't know if that's going to include third party games on Xbox, but I think they're talking about first party stuff is going to be $80. Now, first of all, the thing I don't really understand about this, thank you Nintendo, wow, Nintendo made Xbox. The thing I don't understand about this is that when Tears of the Kingdom came out and it was $70, nobody said thank you Xbox, thank you Sony. Nobody said that. That was not a thing. Everyone was just like, yeah, oh, the okay, so Nintendo's joining them now. Oh man. Like no one was like, oh, this is I don't really get what is going on with that part of things. And the reason this is a problem is because it perpetuates this idea that when companies don't do something, like when it perpetuates this idea that when Nintendo was still making games $60 when earlier in this generation when games were 70, it implies that Nintendo was doing that out of the kindness of their heart. It implies that Nintendo was like, yeah, we're going to keep it 60 because we're just good guys. No, that's not how it worked. That's not what was happening. They just didn't get around to it yet. That is how it goes. So this idea that, oh, Xbox did it because Nintendo did it. It's like, no, there's something logistically that there's a reason that the industry is moving in this direction. Like, it's a lot of moving parts for why we ended up here. It's not like, oh, this company did it and now they're copying. No, that's not, no. Neo Galaxy, real money grinds to hours. Maybe it's because people seeing Burgundy, Microsoft and probably Sony soon want to raise prices on everything, but they made one critical miscalculation. Josh, what's up? They're not Nintendo. Yes. Compass Chan, I thought hardware price was tariff related, but then they increased game price too. Yeah. That's the other thing too, is that when we talk about the whole let's talk about the games part, right? We're going to get into the hardware part, but let's talk about the games part. They're saying that games are going to be $80. That's not listed here, but I think they said that in the... Oh, the boss, thanks for the sub. Thank you for the sub. I appreciate you for real. Thank you so much. Real Grind said hours. I'm going to be able... No, I shouldn't be flexing about getting money on the stream when we're talking about how expensive gaming is getting. But I appreciate you assisting me, man. I appreciate that. But no, look, listen. Games getting more expensive, right? The thing that people aren't acknowledging with Xbox doing it is that they're doing it on all, like, it's a universal thing. Like, they're doing it across multiple games, across all first party Xbox games. Nintendo just did it for Mario Kart. Like, Nintendo just did it for Mario Kart, and Xbox said, shit, let's go. We doing it for everything. It's like, no. It's like, that's a totally different thing. Here's the thing. Here's what I don't understand. Because this is why I mentioned this. Right? Nintendo just did it for one game, for Mario Kart 8, right? Xbox did it for across multiple games when they could have just done what Nintendo did and just, like, not said anything and just made some games $80. I don't think it's going to be all... Okay, I don't think it's going to be all first-party games either. Who said that in the chat? I don't think it's going to be all first party games ashes, but they're saying certain they okay, this is what I'm saying. They're saying certain first party Xbox games will rise to $79.99 starting this holiday season. They shouldn't have even said that. They should have just Nintendo didn't come out with a press release and say certain Nintendo games are going to be $80. We just looked and Mario Kart World was like $80. They didn't say, oh, this is going to be like a thing you're going to see a lot of. I don't understand. So I'm not understanding why Xbox did that. I'm not understanding why they had to come out and say that. Because in my mind, here's the difference between the PR for both of these like decisions. In my mind, when Nintendo comes out with like Mario Kart being $80, right? At least from a PR standpoint, people can say, "Oh, maybe they're doing that just because it's Mario Kart." You know, there's a little bit of damage control going on there, where it's like, okay, they're just gonna do it for the really big games, especially considering that we've already seen the pricing for some of their other games. Like Donkey Kong is gonna be 70, right? So we've seen their pricing for other games. We've seen like that it's gonna be variable because Donkey Kong is big enough to where let me put it like this. If Nintendo came out with a similar statement and said certain first party Xbox games, certain first party Nintendo games will rise to $80, and we knew that Mario Kart and Donkey Kong were coming out, people would have said, oh shit, Donkey Kong is going to be $80. But by just making it a thing of like, okay, you just see some games have different prices, then there's like that level of, okay, maybe they're going to be very loose with it. You know, maybe they're just going to be they're just going to decide it on a case by case basis. If the game's going to sell a lot, they're going to make it like $80. Um, so I'm not sure what the move was there. Um, Liquid Zerif. Oh yes, Liquid. Thank you. People still think that Nintendo's doing it for all games just because of Mario Kart. That's another thing I don't understand that I'm seeing. Everyone's like, "Oh, Nintendo games it's just Mario Kart." That's the only one we have so far. Nintendo didn't standardize pricing. They have both $80 games and games that were like 60 or yes, exactly. Um, Xbox be like that one friend that constantly needs to overshare, even if they. Fonset Village, what's up? Certain Nintendo series releases have a prestige factor like Mario Kart or Zelda, but others won't be like. No way that new Rhythm Heaven is going to be 80. Yeah, Rhythm Heaven is not going to be $80. We know that. Um, and to that point, Fonset Village. To that point, this is where Xbox kind of fucked up, right? Because on the Nintendo side of things, Nintendo has levels. I think Burgundy was kind of alluding to that earlier. Nintendo has levels to the types of games they make. You have the Mario Karts, the Zeldas, and the Smashes, and the Animal Crossings. Then you have that level below. You have the ARMS. You have the what's another? You have the Rhythm Heavens. You have the Fire Emblems, like that kind of double A tier of game. They have that. Xenoblade, right? Even though Xenoblade, I'm not sure what that situation is gonna be like, considering the scope of Xenoblade games. But yes, Nintendo has various tiers. Kirby, they have various tiers of games. Microsoft, a lot of their games are the big triple A, to a lesser extent than Sony, but to a greater extent than Nintendo, the big AAA higher budget games. So this move for them is a bit more concerning because it's hard to imagine like, okay, what games are they gonna do that for, or what games can they avoid that with? Um Chrono Rig. I wonder how much that Xbox handheld PC is going to be. Man, that Xbox handheld is probably years out at this point, considering everything going on with the economy. Um, Compass Chan. Also, Switch first party games have gone on sale to 30 for the last 2 to 3 years. Yes, Ashes. I think Nintendo will very much look at what previous entries sell to decide the new price. No way Metroid or Xenoblade will ever be 80. No, Xenoblade won't be 80. I think Xenoblade is going to be 70, and I think Metroid, we'll see. But Metroid, the price of Metroid is going to tell us how Nintendo's going to go about this. Arguably, Donkey Kong's price has already told us how Nintendo is going to go about this, because Donkey Kong looks pretty premium. It looks like a premium game. It doesn't look like a lower priority game for Nintendo in terms of the scope, in terms of what they're doing technologically, in terms of how they're promoting it and everything. It looks like a bigger deal in terms of how Nintendo is treating it. And that game is just $70. So I imagine if Donkey Kong is 70, I'm pretty sure Metroid is going to be 70. So if Metroid and Donkey Kong are 70, the $80 games are just going to be stuff like Mario Kart, Smash, Zelda. Zelda's for sure going to be 80. And then Animal Crossing. Yo, by the way, that ad made me think that some white person was behind me just now. That ad that's just playing right here. I was like, what the fuck? But I stayed calm and kept talking regardless. but yeah, if those two games are $70, then we can pretty much rest assured that like it's just gonna be 4 games pretty much throughout this generation that are gonna be $80. I agree, Ashes. Serial Sensei, people saw that $80 on Mario Kart and hit the panic button thinking it will be every single game. Yeah. Matter of fact, I think it was very smart for Nintendo to do this and show how variable the pricing is going to be. For example, what if Lucid? Yeah, in terms of game budget, it's definitely Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, then Valve. Yep. Valve. What's the last game Valve made? Cell Device. What's up, Cell Device? If they update Mario Kart like they did 8, then it might be worth the 80. I don't know, man. Here's the thing. Like I said, I'm not a Mario Kart guy. I'm not even getting Mario Kart. I didn't even get the bundle when I pre-ordered my Switch. So I mean, I don't want to talk about what games are worth because that gets into a whole thing that I don't know if it's easy to talk about what games are worth and what is reasonable. Because also when you think about what games are worth, you also have to think about the fact that these publishers are choosing the budget of these games, right? So some of the worth, right, is on them. They don't have to spend X amount of dollars to make a game if they don't want to. They can make the games cheaper if they want to. So it's also a matter of how much should games be costing to make in the first place. That's when you get into a real tricky conversation of like, well, this game wouldn't be $80 if you turn down the textures a little bit or, whatever. But yeah, it's a tricky conversation. Slayer, people will make excuses to justify their purchase even if they don't like it. Yeah, for sure. Jalen Devon, I imagine it's only the legacy first-party games like the Halos, Gears, Horizons where it's going up. Games made by studios under the Microsoft umbrella will vary. Yeah, so let's talk about that. In terms of the Microsoft first-party games that are going to be $80, like Jalen said, I think it's going to be Halo, Gears, Horizon, and then Halo, Gears, Horizon. What is Bethesda working on? Then Skyrim, the next Skyrim is going to be 80, right? The interesting experiment Y'all know the interesting experiment? The interesting experiment is going to be Call of Duty. Because Xbox owns, what's the studio that does Call of Duty? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting right now. What's the studio that does Call of Duty? Help me out. But yeah, Call of Duty is going to be $80. Activision, there we go. Thank you. So if Call of Duty hits 80, that I think Call of Duty being 80 is going to be a more impactful thing on this whole pricing conversation than anything else that's going to happen, even more so than Mario Kart. Because if Call of Duty still sells at $80, we're not going to be talking about this anymore. We're just going to move on like we did for $70. Let me go down a little bit. Chat's moving a little too fast. Burgundy, I think the odds are good that the new Mario Kart gets free DLC because that's the thing they like to do. Maybe with the paid season pass in a year or two. I think what Mario Kart is going to do is they're going to do what they did for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and make the DLC packaged in with the Nintendo Switch Online subscription. That's what I think they're going to do. And I think Nintendo's eventually going to raise the price for Nintendo Switch Online, but I think maybe that might be a little further out, maybe by next year. Let me see. Chrono Rig, what's up? I think when Nintendo comes out with the Switch 2 Lite, it'll help them even more. Yes. Liquid Zero, weird thing about Halo being 80, Halo Infinite's multiplayer was free and the campaign for 60. Yeah, that will be weird with Halo. Yeah, the free-to-play element for Halo and how they've already broken that barrier as being a live service thing now. Or they could abandon the live service thing, but I doubt it. But the fact that they've already broken that barrier is going to be interesting to see how they navigate the pricing for the next thing. And if they're still going to go with a free-to-play and a separate single-player campaign that people can purchase separately. Jalen Devon, GTA 6 getting pushed back, kick the can down the road for whatever their pricing is. Yeah, Ozzy, what's up, man? How many of y'all needing to pay the Switch 2 and 4 installments? Y'all, get your money up, man. Y'all can't be pre-ordering the Switch 2 when you're not there yet financially. Keep it together. Just another artist. Groceries are high. Let's blame Nintendo. Bond said, comparatively, NSO base at 20 a year is a steal. Look, yeah, Nintendo Switch Online at this point. By the way, before we continue, because we're going to get into the hardware side of things with the Xbox stuff, Nintendo Switch Online is a deal now. Especially when I'm looking at the stuff coming to GameCube now. We got Soul Calibur, F-Zero, Wind Waker. And so far, I don't know if Nintendo is going to do this in the future or not, but so far, they're not removing any games from Nintendo Switch Online. Like, they're not doing the thing where they have the games available temporarily or a rotation or anything like that. I mean, I think a couple games have been removed, but I think it's because they released the game in another form on the Switch. Or something like that. It was, or I don't know, maybe Heavy Wings. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I heard about that. I'm not sure why they removed that game, but I think there was like a reason. I don't think it's a practice that they're gonna remove games from Nintendo Switch Online. Yes, yeah, okay, licenses. Yeah. It was a licensing thing, but it's not like a regular expected practice that they're gonna remove games. So Nintendo Switch Online has only continued to grow, which is crazy to think about. Shalant98, what's up? Yeah, Nintendo Switch Online is getting a lot better. They really did add value with the Switch 2, with things like yeah, for sure. So let's get into the hardware aspect of like the Xbox stuff, right? Because this, I think, is the crazier part than the $80 games. In my opinion, this is the crazier part. Let me see if I can close this, because this should be scaring me. Let me close all this. There's a lot going on. Gamatsu broke as hell. They broke too. All these damn ads. Shout outs to Gamatsu. But yes, this is crazy. This is crazy, bro. I mean, and this isn't Microsoft's fault, right? This is the part where you definitely have to attribute this to the tariffs. How do we feel this is going to affect Xbox moving forward? Is this the end? Is it Jover? I think I do have ad block. Hold on. I'm gonna check that. But yeah, do y'all think it's over for Xbox in terms of the pricing on the hardware? Yeah, I do have ad block. I don't know what you're talking about. It's just Gamatsu strong as hell with their shit. Um, Tino, unless those next set of first parties are back to back 92 on Metacritic, I think it's finished. They're already selling Wii U numbers. What? For real? Are they selling Wii U numbers for the Xbox? I thought Xbox was doing okay. It was just in last place. Jazzy, no, unless they bring up Game Pass increase again. That's the other thing too. I think also Xbox was kind of sticking their neck out with this first because they still view Game Pass and subscriptions as one of their main ways of getting revenue and stuff at this point. So, yeah, and let's look at that again. Hold on. How much is this? It's freaking. This is $729. Real talk, I didn't even look at this. This is crazy. God dang, Trump, man. I find it silly that some people think Microsoft would sell Xbox at 600 with Series X has been. Yeah. Fawn said, I think it was already over as of last year, but it's just accelerated it. Yes, okay, Burgundy for sure. The console sales are definitely going to go down at this point. At the initial prices, they already sold at loss in the hopes Game Pass. Oh, they already sold at a loss in the hopes that Game Pass accessories and games will recoup the cost. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Frost Nix, it's been a minute. What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? How you doing? Burgundy, there's no major release feature or reason really to hop on Xbox at this point. It's in the waning years of its life cycle, the twilight years, as it were. Do we still think that Xbox handheld is coming out? Neo Galaxy, they low key were already on their way out the door with the everything's in Xbox, but this might actually be it for them with hardware, at least because they still have Game Pass. Yes. Um, Cell device, even with the conversation from 1 year Game Pass core to Ultimate, it's still a lot. I might drop it after this. Oh yeah, cell device. I know you be on Xbox, man. Like, how's it looking for you in terms of? Do you buy a lot of first party Xbox stuff? Is this gonna stop you from buying more Xbox stuff, or how's that gonna go for you? Ashes, maybe unless they really start kissing Trump's ass. Josh, yeah, no gyro really sucks. I'm still waiting for that Steam controller. Not even Sony cares that. Yeah, I don't know, man. That the fact that gyro isn't standard yet kind of sucks. But is the handheld doing the hybrid thing or just a ROG ally with the Microsoft brand on it? I think it's going to be a ROG ally thing. I think that would be the safer thing for Microsoft to do. Roger, what's up? Thanks for the follow, man. Hey, we in here. Liquid Zerif, I for real love the series X controller because the triggers are actually comfortable, but no gyro is killing. Yeah. Um, but nah, I think this might be Xbox is permanently in third at this point. I think that's pretty much an understood thing, even before these prices went up. Um, Now, I will say the second aspect of this conversation that I want to get into is, and it's kind of the topic of the entire stream generally. What does this mean for the hobby in general for you guys? Raji, we're dooming. We're dooming a little bit. What does this mean for the hobby in general for you guys? Because the next thing I'm seeing people kind of say is this is going to, I guess, make people game less. And I'm not so sure I agree with dooming to that extent. Fake Hawaiian, what's up? Yeah, I'm not sure if I agree with dooming to that extent. I don't think this is going to hurt the medium, actually. And I don't know if that's like a crazy take or not, but I think if anything, this might just change how people game. I think that's more so what's going to happen, because I think gaming has matured enough already to where it's kind of a you either game or you don't situation. It's not like how it was in the 90s and 2000s when it was still kind of a young medium that had space to introduce more and more people into like the language of gaming or the culture of it all. I don't think it's like young enough to where, oh, people are gonna stop gaming or game less because of it. Josh, thank you. Exactly. I think it's just going to change and make people play more indies. There's going to be more emulation, more piracy, more backlog clearing. I think we're going to see a lot bigger rise of people having their one game, right? And kind of going hard with that. So yeah, I think this is definitely going to change how people game. I don't think it's going to like I don't think we're at a place with gaming where a crash can happen in the way that people imagine a crash happening. Um so yeah. People are talking about PS6, but we're still getting PS4 games. Console generations are going to become a low spec versus high spec type of thing. Yes. Even for the Switch too, I'm not really seeing and this is going to be a slight tangent, but even for the Switch too, I'm not really feeling the next gen feeling that I got with the Switch 1. And I think it's over for that when it comes to hardware. And I think when we talk about games feeling next gen and feeling like we're taking another step forward, that's going to come down more to software now. So how developers use the hardware and how creative developers get in terms of the way they use technology is going to be how we see next gen things happen. So I think the last time a game felt next gen to me was personally Tears of the Kingdom. That was the last time a game I was like, whoa, this is crazy. How are they doing this? And then another time I felt like that, I think I want to say Near Automata kind of gave me that feeling a little bit. I don't think we're at the point where when something feels next gen, it's because of technological leaps necessarily, but it's more so how they freak what we currently have technologically. I think that's more so what next gen is. Death Stranding gave me. Oh, that's a good one. Death Stranding gave me that feeling. Death Stranding did give me that feeling. Death Stranding gave me a next gen feeling. I'm trying to think what else. Death Stranding. Um, because I think a lot of people when they think about next gen, they just think about, oh, this looks really good. That's not how I describe next gen. Next gen isn't just, oh, this looks really like graphically crazy. Next gen to me is more so how the game uses technology. Ashes says Bayonetta Origins is gonna give me that feeling. The agenda continues. The agenda continues. What are some games that y'all feel gave y'all a next gen feeling? Symbiote, what's up? The issue is that people spend without a thought and let FOMO get to them. Also, they more than likely leave those games on their backlogs. Yes. Monster Hunter Wilds letting you just walk out of the village into the hunting locales was next gen to me, especially with Monster Hunter Rise and World having 20-second loading. Some people are saying Tekken, Rate and Hate. Is it Rate and Hate or Rat and Hate? Resident Evil Revelations running on the 3D. See, Rate and Hate. Stuff like that gives me a next gen feeling. Like stuff like that feels more next gen to me. Oh, y'all know another one? This is going to be kind of random. Y'all were some of you were on the stream when I was playing this. Titanfall 2. Titanfall 2 had some moments where I was like, this is the Air Bear. Hot take maybe, but Spider-Man 2 gave me a next gen feeling from how fast you can get around a huge world. Yes. Fake Hawaiian, Dragon's Dogma 2, and Monster Hunter Wilds. Raji Roger. Last time I had a next gen feeling was using a Switch 2 for the first time. Yo, high key, man. Putting that Switch in the dock for the first time and seeing the shit just come on your screen and then that was I don't think we're gonna. That's it. That's the last like next gen console. Switch 2 is fine, but maybe I have to play it. But I think it's over. We're not gonna get that feeling anymore. It's done. Switch 2 is pretty iterative, you know. It's not. We're not getting that feeling anymore. Rattan. Oh, okay, I got you. Rattan. Just another artist. 24 players, all functioning on massive maps, all simultaneously being able to use multiple items. Ooh, hold on. Y'all know another one? Y'all know another next gen game? Fortnite is very next gen. Fortnite was very. I don't even play Fortnite. But that game was very like, ooh, like this is kind of okay. Okay. Very. I know sometimes when games get super popular, they kind of become invisible in our minds as being, you know, impressive. But Fortnite is an impressive game. It deserves the hype. Wolf's Den, Control. Y'all think I would like Control? I haven't played Control, but everyone suggests Control to me. It does look kind of interesting. What up, J2 Chronicles? What's up? Just another artist. The mouse controls will probably go insane with the gyro at the same time. I don't know, man. Yeah. I think the mouse controls are going to be interesting. Control is so good. 11 out of 10 game. I need it. One day I'm going to get around to it. So, y'all, for you guys personally, How is gaming going to change for you with all these price increases? What how is it affecting you personally? Because now we've been kind of talking about the industry at large and what's going to happen there. But for you personally, what's going to change now with all these price increases? Because I imagine Sony's going to get to it eventually. And this is a side question. Do we think it's going to happen on PC too? Or is PC just going to stay regular price? Ozzy, I'm still gonna buy my dog shit expensive Nintendo games and nothing else. Fake Hawaiian, you don't think it's gonna change? Kirusei, what's up? How's it going? Tino, nothing. Ashes, still being a patient gamer, and if anything, my tastes have become more defined. Just another artist. What's your most anticipated Switch 2 game? Name one that's announced and then one that you're anticipating. Okay, my most anticipated Switch 2 game is probably Metroid Prime 4. I know that's a Switch 1 game also, but I'm gonna play that on the Switch 2. And then one that I'm anticipating, Monolith Soft's next game. I think that's what you mean by anticipating a game that's not already out. Roger, thanks for the sub. Rather, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. But yes, those are the two. But I do want to give a shout out. To Kirby Air Riders. I'm looking forward to how that game's gonna look. Scully MT, thanks for the follow. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to how Kirby Air Ride 2 is gonna look. I'm looking forward to that. Heavy Wings, I'll probably buy less. 75 quid is really high compared to 50. Most Switch games eventually drop to 36 here, but that likely won't happen. Raji, I'm paying for stuff more than ever. Oh, 4 installments. I was going into GameStop to pay in 4, and they let me do a deposit. Y'all, see, this is what I'm saying. This is why I said y'all are some broke ass gamers. Why y'all paying in 4 installments? Just look, y'all, I paid for my Switch 2 straight out. I said, boom, here you go. Here's everything. This is why when y'all talk about, oh, you just buy anything. Nah, if I buy something, or the people that looked at my Steam library and said, whoa, GK, you don't have many games. But then when I walk into Walmart and pay for that Switch 2 in full cash, one payment, then y'all gonna be looking at me like, damn, GK, how you pay for that thing in one payment? Y'all saw how small my Steam library was? I don't be buying every game that comes out. I don't be spending money on every little thing I see, building up my backlog and all that. So that's why I'm able to just pay for that Switch 2 in full, straight up, no hesitation. So when y'all be complaining about prices and all that, I just be sitting there like, Y'all remember when y'all was talking about my Steam library? Yep. So I'm saying, broke ass gamers, get your money up, get on your grind, man, and save money. No. Right. I'm joking. GK, on the real, I do pay him for our big purchases. If not that, I go to Green Man Gaming for all my game purchases. Haven't paid full price for a game a year. Okay, look. I'm joking. I'm not the richest person either, but I'm very frugal. So when I buy something, usually it's not with that. I have a car payment too. I got rent. I live by myself. I got to pay for internet and electricity and everything. I pay for a lot of things too, but you know what I'm saying? I understand how to navigate this landscape. That's another thing we need to talk about, because I see a lot of people were saying nothing's going to change for them. Some things need to change for y'all. This needs to be a wake-up call for some of you guys. These $80 games and this hardware going up needs to be a wake-up call for some of y'all. Y'all need to stop buying every damn Steam sale thing that you see pop up. Y'all need to stop fucking first, also stop selling your games when you're trading in. Stop selling your games to GameStop. Get on eBay and get you a higher value return on your shit. You know what I'm saying? What else do y'all be doing? Oh, hold on. Don't get me started on y'all and these damn collector's editions. I know I got some collector's editions people in here who buy them fucking collector's editions just because it comes with 5 stickers and a limited edition fake coin or something. Nah, y'all, I don't be, when y'all be like, oh, you don't got no, I don't got the collector's edition. I don't have the collector's edition. That's why I'm able to buy the Switch 2 in full. No four installments. No Klarna. What's that thing? Klarna? No. Putting the money down straight up. Yeah, so no collector's editions. No Steam sales. You know? None of that. Stop calling me out, man. I just want my Xenoblade X collector's edition. Why? Okay. Look, do you? But over here, we frugal. Rayman SMT. I only buy a collector's edition if it comes with the art book and the soundtrack and the physical game. And then y'all get on here and cry about, oh man, $80 games, oh my God. And then you see a fucking you see a collector's edition come with a soundtrack with 3 songs on it. You're like, ah, here's my money, here's $150. Look, man. Scully MT, what's up? 15 and a council estate kid with no income. Wait. Are you saying you're 15? We got minors in here? Nah, you're welcome in here, you know, but you know, just be cool, be cool, be cool. Just be cool and you're welcome in the community, man, you know. I gotta raise up the youth. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying, young Padawan. Save your money. Don't buy collector's editions. Don't participate in Steam sales unless it's a game you want. Don't just impulsively buy games. Don't pay in installments. Listen to me, young Padawan. This is going to be useful when you turn 20, 30, whatever. Don't play free to play games and spend money on battle passes and microtransactions and shit. Ozzy, PC pricing will increase to match console. Yeah, they might be last. They might be last to it though. Let me go down a little bit. Chat moving. Ozzy, I think money will only get tighter, dead ass though. Like it does suck, especially now, and will maybe get worse for a minimum 44 years. Yeah, for sure. For sure. GK, I needed to hear this. Man, look. I'm here to help, man. I'm here to help. But the Air Bear, what's up? Most collector's editions are pretty crappy with the extras and prices, but there's a few good ones. Ashes in the hourglass. We the unks. Yes, sir. The unk stream, baby. Raji Roger, hey, the advantage of PC is you can acquire things through other means. Playing that Oblivion remaster because I acquired it through other means, allegedly. See, this is why the gaming industry is going to crash because of people like you. No, I'm joking. It's okay. I get it. I understand. I understand, man. But also, by the way, I chose the right generation to go PC. I definitely chose the right generation to go PC because the stuff that's been going on, I've been weaving and dodging. And even to upgrade, this is one thing that, well, people do talk about it, but one thing about upgrading your PC too, um, you can just sell your old parts to make up for the new part that you have to buy. Like I upgraded my CPU and technically I only paid like $20 or maybe not 20. I only paid like $40 to upgrade my CPU because I just sold my old one to get the new one. It was like a $40 difference. Same with the GPUs, Um Jalen Devon, nah, you was a generation late still. Prices are absolutely insane now, and the return on the used market is much worse than it used to be. Damn. So it was worse than even it was. Man, if it was, yeah, I guess it is worse technically. Um, but shit, I still rather. I mean, even just counting stuff like not having to pay for an online subscription, just that alone has saved me a lot of money, especially with how much the prices have been going up for the online subscriptions. Yeah, I'm glad I chose PC this generation. Something told me. PC and Nintendo. Ozzy did a major upgrade. I'm good. Will say though, y'all should hop on OLED monitors. Rayman SMT next gen. I'll mostly be on PC and Switch too. That's the combo. That's the combo, y'all. PC and Switch too. Um, when do we think Sony is going to announce the price increase? When do we think Sony's going to do the price increase? Next week? Or it would be so funny if Sony was just straight up like, no, we're not going to do it. We're going to be the good guys. We're going to look like the good guys. Tino, sometime this week. Robotic Edward, what up? You think it'll be soon? Heavy Wings, when all US stock is depleted. Yeah, they probably do have more US stock, so that might be why they're waiting. They have more US stock than maybe Microsoft, I guess. The Air Bear. To be fair, though, the console space was better back then, too. Used game prices are crazy post-COVID. Yes, 1,000%. Shalant98. I think Sony trying to wait it out if Trump drops the tariffs probably after the 90-day pause. Oh, yeah. That's true. But I feel like Microsoft knows something. I think Microsoft knows that they jumped ahead of it because they feel like they have some information to where they're like, yeah, we're gonna have to do this. Wolf, Sony gonna drop the price increase after Ghost of Yotei drops. Yeah, they're gonna choose a convenient time. They're gonna choose some kind of good time, I guess. Eclipse, what's up, man? Slayer, Sony would never do that to us. Sony always Lucid, Microsoft does have government security clearances. Oh, we getting inside baseball here. No, but yeah, I think Microsoft has some information. That's why they just went ahead and did it. Sony is, I think they're gonna have to follow suit, but the question is when, and I think it's gonna be. I'm thinking it's gonna be next week, or they just do what Nintendo did, like I said earlier in the stream, and just don't say anything, and just be like, okay, yeah, Ghost of Yotei is $80. Like, did when games increased to $70, did Sony do a thing, or did any developer do a thing where they were like, games are $70 now, or did we just look up and see that games were $70? Jalen Devon, Nvidia's old second highest. Jamie was Yeah, I don't even need the highest GPUs though, but I do get your point though. I don't need the strongest thing, but yeah, I feel you though. Uh, but yeah, y'all are saying no, there was no like formal announcement. So yes, that's I think Sony's probably gonna be smart about maybe. I don't know, but I think they're not gonna have a formal announcement unless because of the tariffs they have to increase the price on their hardware. So they might package in the like maybe that is why Microsoft did it to make it look like it was because of the tariffs. I don't know. Marquez PSP, PC for almost everything, Switch to and for portability, and Nintendo games, PS5 for new AAA titles and free monthly games. What I don't even know. Well, I mean, to each their own, but I don't even know what first party games on even PS5 don't come to PC at this point. Unless you just need it at launch day, but I mean that is a thing. If you need it at launch day, that would make sense. Kiruse Nagasa 4090 to end game. Ashes PS Plus is way too expensive. Yes, agreed. Donovan, what's up? It's interesting that we all accepted $70 because games have been around $60 for decades, but somehow that bump to 80 seems egregious to a lot of people. Yeah, it is interesting how this one feels more of a dramatic response than we got for $70. Josh, I've got to go and vote here in Australia, so I'm gonna head out and get my democracy sausage. But peace out, Josh, and make sure you don't vote for a Trump-like person over there. Whoever y'all's Trump is, just avoid them. Praying for you guys. Don't be like us. Or them, not us, because not me. They not like us. Marquez PSP, like my PC struggled to play for Forza Horizon 5. I bought it again on PS5 just for the smooth. Okay, got you. The Air Bear, I do switch PC and PS5, but if my PC wasn't as outdated, I could easily drop PlayStation. There's a bug in here, so y'all might see me like freak out. I don't know where it is. It disappeared this morning. Maybe it's dead. I don't know, but Athena, what's up? I think I saw you in the chat earlier. I didn't say anything though. I forgot to say what's up. A core chatter, core mutual, core everything. Wolfden, side note, are you into Rock Marciano's music? You know, no. I mean, I'm aware of Rock Marciano. I like appreciate what he's done, and people like him and Ka, but I haven't really gotten a chance to dig into that side of hip hop yet, that sphere or that whole bubble. But I'm aware. Um but yeah. So let's talk about this next thing. Before let's wrap up some more of the chats. Robotic Edward, I don't know if this is the place to ask, but how does one navigate the entire online landscape without being terminally online, as it's been an issue lately, especially with all the trash news happening on a near daily basis? Ooh, okay, here's what I like to say about the term terminally. Ooh, that's a tongue twister. The term terminally online. So, for me, in my opinion, being terminally online is more of a mindset. It's not about how much you're online. So, it's about having an understanding of how the real world works. So, you can be online a lot as long as you're out in the world a lot also. So one thing that keeps me grounded from being terminally online is one, having a girlfriend, because she's not a gamer. She barely uses the internet like that. She's not like super hardcore on Instagram or anything like that. And talking to her, it doesn't even have to be a girlfriend. It can be just having any friend who isn't in this space. But I'm using my girlfriend as an example. Explaining some of the shit that we be talking about on here be having her so confused. She's like, what? So why are people saying this is woke? Or, okay, so people are mad that this isn't 1080p and they're fighting each other. Like, when you explain some of this stuff to normal people, but specifically when I explain some of these things to her, it puts into perspective how silly a lot of this stuff is. And I think having friends who aren't in this space can help you from being terminally online, or help you put online shit into perspective. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, having normal friends helps. And that's a lot of the reason why even though I'm online a lot, I'm still, I think, pretty normal. I don't think I make a big deal out. Ooh, whoa, whoa. That was crazy. Um, I don't think I have like a very terminally online mindset. Having a job also helps. Having a job also helps. Um, just another artist. You'll realize how little this shit that we see online is. Yes, yes. Talking to coworkers helps. Having a coworker who just likes old Nintendo games keeps my takes grounded. If I can't explain the critique to him, I failed. Yes. Um, Jalen Devon, I thought the initial framing of the discussion, "Thank you Nintendo" thing, like in like the console war crap, was such nonsense that I'd even. Oh my gosh, what is going on with my computer? It's weird. Okay, hopefully, I don't know if that's the power or what. Ozzy, like the best way to not become super insane is to just talk to people because 99% are pretty normal. Yes, yes. So getting back to that, talking to people keeps things in perspective. Ozzy, shut up. My CPU is fine. But yes, talking to people keeps things in perspective. Like I said, um, when I talk about gamer stuff or online stuff to my girlfriend, she be like y'all remember when I got jumped for my takes on emulation? I explained that to my girlfriend and she was like, "What's emulation?" Like, I don't understand. And I had to explain that to her. It's like, yeah, so I got jumped for because I said emulation isn't easy. And so when you start saying it out loud, you just feel ridiculous. You just feel like this is like so silly that I have to explain this to somebody, you know. And once you do that, you kind of like puts things in perspective. Um, I switched to greater than GK in terms of frame rate right now. Yeah, I don't know what that was. I don't know what that was. Marquez PSP, talking to real people on the level and not caught in an echo chamber is a bit harder than it used to be. So you got to talk to more people. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Uh, Kira say people need to remember that people on Twitter talking loudly about video game discourse is honestly just a small part of all this. Yes. Yeah. Athena, yellow paint discourse was bruh. Can you imagine explaining the yellow paint discourse to coworkers? Imagine explaining yellow paint discourse to coworkers. Yeah, so we're going back and forth about, yeah, so there's this video game and there's this part where you got to climb a ladder and everybody's mad that there's like yellow paint on the ladder. Like, it just it just sounds crazy, man. It just sounds nuts. cell device. My girl will roast the fuck out of me complaining about yellow paint. Yeah, bruh. There's so many, bruh. Imagine censorship conversations to a real life person. Y'all remember the vajayjay bones controversy for Tokyo Mirage Sessions? Or imagine like a conversation like, yeah, so they're mad that like they covered up a little bit of cleavage on this girl. Robotic Edward, don't. Yeah, the vajayjay bones. Yeah, in Tokyo Mirage Sessions, there was a part where you could see the line of like a girl's inner thigh, and then in the American version, they censored that line. I don't even know if those were, but I don't know what that was. It was just a line on the inner thigh, though. It wasn't like anything crazy. And then they censored it in the American version, and then there was somebody who was like, "Oh my gosh, they censored the vagina bones." Yo, we be talking about some crazy shit. Yo, gamers be talking about some hilarious stuff, bro. We be talking about some we be talking about some bullshit. We be talking about some bullshit, bro. Like, Horsehead Productions. What's up? Trump tariffs got me fucked up. They delayed GTA. It's crazy. The petty Game Boy Lad. What's up? Online discourse sounds so silly explaining it to normal people, but some issues on normal people's mind be just as, if not more, BS low key. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I agree too. I agree with that too. Uh Ozzy, did we have a stream about the 100? Oh, hold on. Yeah, we didn't. No, let's talk about this real quick. 100 men versus gorillas. No, I did not talk about this on stream. But this is a universal topic that I think everyone can contribute to. Uh, Now, Berlin, thank you for the follow. And straight up, 100 men can beat a gorilla. Whoa, hey, whoa, 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 whoa. J Boulevard, get that guy out of here. What is going on? That is scary. Jeez. Bro came in swinging. That was wild. Um, no, but okay, listen. What's with racist and George Floyd? Yeah, I don't they are really stuck on that whole thing. That's their go-to. Um anyway, let's get back to it. Let's get back to the topic. Now 100 men can beat a gorilla. And let me explain why. A gorilla can only hold up to, I think it's 5,000 pounds, right? I think it's 5,000 or 4,000, like, or something crazy like that. Maybe it's 2,000. But 100 men, even if 100 men only weighed like 120 pounds, that is 100 and, sorry, hold on. Hold on, let me make sure I don't fuck this up. That is 12,000 pounds. 12,000 pounds. If you jump the gorilla and everyone just dog piles the gorilla. Hey, Ozzy, hey, be quiet. Shut up. That's no, be quiet. I was gonna say 12,000, but I didn't want to. Sometimes I get so distracted that I just say some bullshit, so I just had to slow down and make sure. Uh, but no, like that is a lot of people. Cell device said they could be stronger than we think. No, no, Jalen Devon. So the folks on the bottom ready to get squashed for the cause. Yes, we're gonna have some crazies, and we gotta have some crazies in there. Um, we gotta have just the right people. So nah, I don't understand why people are like, oh, like, do people think gorillas are fucking like Goku? Like, they think gorillas are fucking like on some anime shit. Like they still have like blood and they still breathe and all that. They're still mortals. So yeah, y'all think the gorilla's just gonna be out here? A better argument even would have been like 100 men versus like an elephant or something. Like an elephant would be a more like reasonable discussion, but a gorilla versus 100 dudes. How strong are their jaws? Because they might just bite everyone to death. I mean, maybe. Yeah, an elephant could kill like 1,000 people. A thing that they talk about it like the gorilla is playing a Warriors game. Yeah, like gorillas ain't they not no, they not like that. They not like that. Y'all wildin', thinking like gorillas are just like on some Dynasty Warriors shit. Um, so y'all said y'all don't know the gorillas can ult. Cell device, the 100 man versus gorilla thing. People are only assuming the men will be aggressive. The gorilla might turn up when threatened. I'm assuming everybody's gonna turn up. Um, Now we didn't talk about this yet. That was a side quest topic, but let's talk about this because this is a big deal today too. Oh, actually, no. You know what? You know what we need to talk about? This is what we're gonna talk about. Let me pull this up. Let me pull this up because this was a big deal too. Um, I think y'all know what we're about to talk about. Some of you, I think. So, Polygon was hit with massive layoffs. Um, yeah, y'all, if you don't know, when I was in college, I used to be a game journalist for this site called The Coalition. The site is still up. Um, and even back then, gaming journalism was not a lucrative field. It was not a super lucrative career option. For me, when I was working for the coalition, it was definitely a labor of love. I didn't get paid, but it was a cool experience. And a lot of other people I know who've worked for gaming sites were not getting paid. The few that were working for the IGNs, the Polygons, the Kotakus, the Destructoids, etc., etc. But now, man, this is it's over. It's over for this. Like now I'm at the point where I'm like, who's next? Like, who is going to be left? Did y'all hear about what's happening with Giant Bomb also? At this point, I'm like, who's going to be left? I think the only people that will survive this is the IGNs, the GameSpot. Oh, you think GameSpot won't survive? The IGNs, the GameSpots, the who else? It's Kotaku. Yeah, we're looking at Kotaku right now. Kotaku. That's it. I think that's it. Gene will save us. Shout outs to Gene, man. Shout outs to Gene. Um, Robotic Edward, Game Informer came back from the dead recently and is independent. Kiru say, I hate GameSpot. I haven't been to GameSpot in forever, but I do think I think GameSpot, because GameSpot. I think they own GameFAQ, so there's something there in terms of like their survivability, but I don't know. Athena, the G Spot is getting hit. Yeah, GameSpot might get hit. Who knows? Um, but what does this mean now for games media? Because the other thing too is that I think we talked about this before, but losing these kinds of outlets in terms of gaming journalism, I'm not sure if this was like an avoidable thing considering how people consume game news now. Um, but like you're saying in the chat, Jalen, yes, influencers can't ask questions and do like real journalistic work. Ashes, stuff like Min Max and Kind of Funny. That's where I was kind of going next. Is that the Kind of Funnies of the world are kind of the replacement. I don't know where Min Max is in terms of their success level, but I definitely am a fan of Kind of Funny. I will go out and say that right now. I love Kind of Funny. I think they're great. I think Kind of Funny is super. I think they're doing it right. And um I think they're also doing it in a sustainable way. They did get that studio recently, but after that studio, I don't think they've hired um new people after they hired. I think their last hire was Blessing. When they brought Blessing in, I don't think they brought anyone else after that. Blessing, and I think they've had temporary people on like Janet and who's that Xbox guy? Um and Mike. Mike isn't temporary. So Kind of Funny has had like, yeah, Imran. Yeah, Imran. Yeah. Imran was like a temporary like rotating chair or whatever. Um but yeah, they got Mike on there too, and yeah, so Kind of Funny has been good at keeping things sustainable and not like constantly like chasing like permanent growth or constant growth, you know? Cuz I think that's where some of these independent outlets fuck up. They can't repeat the mistakes of Easy. Wait, Easy Allies is gone? What's Easy Allies going through? Because I do know Easy Allies has people leaving. Yeah, they're losing. They lost Kyle. Kyle started his own channel, and then Ben was just okay. Yeah, I don't want to get because I know everybody doesn't follow these outlets, so I don't want to get too into the weeds of like the meta of all these journalism, these games media outlets. But overall, I think what's happening now is that things are moving towards independent journalism, or not independent journalism, independent games media. Um, but I think the issue with the independent games media is that they don't have the same level of access that a Polygon or a IGN or whoever would have had, like getting into E3s and stuff like that. Um, oh, I actually no, I take that back. Kind of funny does have connections, and they do have a lot of access. So yeah, I don't know. I think even what we're doing right now, right? I think even this is the next era of how people consume like games content. Live streaming and people just kind of uh being more so like personalities, like a giant bomb or kind of funny. Um so yeah. Uh I don't know, man. I don't know where we go next from here. Um Ashes, that might be a benefit. They won't need to hold themselves back from shitting on bad AAA. Yes, for sure, Ashes. Yes. Jalen Devon, most sites have a couple editors and an army of low paid contributors. Yeah, yeah. It's bad, man. Like games media is in like a tough place now. It's in a tough place now. Jeff Gertzman really saw all this coming 20 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, it's just not sustainable, man. It's not sustainable. Honestly, in general, let's even just get off the games media thing. With Expedition 33 blowing up recently, I do think we're moving towards, because I know sometimes people. No, sorry, hold up. Robotic, peace out. Thanks for coming through. I know sometimes people annoyingly, when you're talking about the state of the games industry, people kind of annoyingly are like, yeah, indies will save us. Indies will save us. I don't like that rhetoric when it comes to, you know, talking about the solutions behind the problems we're seeing in the games industry and stuff. But I will say, I am noticing that people are just naturally gravitating towards what indies are doing. Ozzy, I do hope that we see game review scores skew more negative. Not that games are bad or worse, but we cannot be giving all these games 8 out of 10. Got to put out the fives for big games. I don't follow reviews. Just a quick aside, I am not anti-review, but I'm not super invested in review culture like that. I don't read. I don't really pay attention to Metacritic and all that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, I hear you though. But I'm not deep into that culture anymore. For reviews, when a game comes out that I like and it gets good reviews, I don't really care. If a game that I don't like gets bad reviews, I don't really care. I just don't. My measurement for quality and recommendations is the streets. I ask my friends. I pay attention to people that I care about and what they like and like what people in the community are playing. Um yeah, that's my what I pay attention to. Um Yeah, I don't really care about um like the formal let's talk about this. I mean, I let me not say that. I read reviews sometimes to so that I can know what a game is like if I'm trying to buy it. Like not in the sense of like I want to know how good it is. I just want to know, like for example, uh Damon X Machina Titanic Scion is coming out soon. And on Switch 2, I might want to know, oh, does this have gyro or something? And how are the gyro controls? So that's what I read reviews for. Is like for specific things that I'm trying to find out. Like I'm like, oh, I need to know. Oh, do they have aiming do they have options to, change your camera speed? Like stuff like that. I'm a very back of the box review type person when it comes to reading reviews. I'm not a, oh, should I buy this? Is this super good? No, I'd pay attention. I'd ask people questions and look for specific things. So that's me. Um, Kiru say, you're gonna get Dark Souls on sale, by the way. Let me show you something. Let me show you something. Let me show you something. I don't know how many of y'all were here earlier in the stream, but guess which Dark Souls did I buy? Guess which one I bought? Guess which one I bought? This is the one I bought. I bought Dark Souls 1. This is the one I'm gonna play. This is the one that I'm going to try out. This is the one I'm gonna play. First of all, it was the cheaper one, $20. And then secondly, everyone was telling me it's more about a lot of exploration and paying attention to your environment and that kind of thing. And I love that kind of stuff. I like that kind of stuff. So I'm that's the one. But yes, what I was saying is that I think people are naturally gravitating towards indies. Cell device, hit me up. Yeah, I'll hit you up, cell device. Yeah. If I'm having trouble or if I'm curious about anything, I'm gonna hit you up about Dark Souls for sure. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm probably gonna get to playing that pretty soon. I'm gonna try to play it before Switch 2 comes out. Try to get that in. But yeah, I think people are naturally gravitating towards indies. The response to Expedition 33, it wasn't a like, oh, this is an indie thing. Even like the fact that Expedition 33 is a new IP. That's a big deal. A new IP from an indie getting this much hype, big deal. Games like Pizza Tower getting a lot of buzz. Now mind you, this is the only reason I don't like this indie games are the solution. The indie games will save us. A lot of these indie developers, even the ones that are successful and the ones we like, they are slaving away. They are slaving away to make these games happen. Like these are people oftentimes low staff, still working a regular job and using the extra money they have from that job to work on this game for 1 or 2 hours a day, So these indie developers aren't even in like the best positions, even when they're successful. But yeah, so I don't like that as like a solution. I think there's something that fundamentally still needs to change with what's going on in the game industry right now. Have y'all seen this video by Alana Pierce? Thanks for the resub, Jalen. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you for real, bro. Have y'all seen this new video about Alana Pierce? She did like some research on she gathered some data on the games industry right now. And she did let's hold on. We might as well, because I haven't watched it yet. But everybody keeps telling me that it's a well-researched video and all this sort of stuff. So it's called The Games Industry is Screwed. Y'all let me know if you can hear this.
From them in a couple of minutes.
The games industry is obviously going through a bit of a rough patch. And by rough patch, I mean that the profit is not quite as much profit as previous year's profit, while still being extremely profitable. But because less profit, it is actually a colossal failure. And thus we are presented with a crisis that has resulted in multiple studio closures, record layoffs, and video game cancellations. Now, I have already made multiple videos about the human impact of...
Oh yeah, Jalen, she doesn't work at Sony Santa Monica anymore, actually. She left. I forgot why. I think something happened with her family, and so she had to move or something. But yeah, she doesn't work at Sony Santa Monica anymore.
This and why it sucks. And it does. It really sucks. There's nothing else to say. It sucks. But today we're not going to be talking about that. Today we're going to be talking about what's going on from a purely data-driven standpoint, or at least from an investor standpoint. I've spent the last several months talking to investors, jumping on investor calls, and looking at trends to put this video together. And the answer, as I was digging into it, became very clear very quickly, actually. But it's something that I feel like not a lot of people are really talking about. And part of this is also unpopular opinion, probably from me. Shocking, I know. Who'd have never happened before, obviously. Part of this is why I think Xbox's everything is an Xbox marketing campaign is actually very smart, and why it is a direct answer to the statistical problems that the games industry is facing right now. It's been really interesting to kind of piece all of this together. Now, any of you who watch my streams or listen to my game development podcast, Play, Watch, Listen, check it out on youtube.com/playwatchlisten every second Friday. Highly recommend giving it a read if you're a person who is interested in video games. Though, as said, I am also pulling from analyst firms and stock market related websites.
No, yes, for sure.
To dig deep into this.
No, Lucid, for sure. The Xbox thing, especially with everything happening right now, I mean, we can talk about that. Low key, they kind of have a little buffer with the fact that everything is an Xbox. Because now people have options to still be in that ecosystem even after the tariff prices went up and everything. Zareth, what up?
First, let's set up the scene. From 2011 to 2021 specifically, video game spending was truly insane. Worldwide consumer spending increased from 80 billion to 200 billion in the span of a decade. That is crazy performance. Not only is that like way more spending than every other entertainment industry, it was actually the video game industry outperforming the entire GDP. In the same time frame that the US GDP increased by 51%, the games industry increased by 105%. Basically, games industry very strong, disproportionately strong. Crash definitely coming. I don't know why I said that like the Hulk, but it was efficient. And while the COVID pandemic did help tremendously in that a lot of people were indoors playing video games as their only means to socialize, the games industry was obviously extremely, unbelievably healthy before that as well. 2020 basically just made a somewhat gradual but still very significant climb, just a whole lot steeper. But it wasn't like video games suddenly became a success in 2020. That wave had been coming since, 2010. The increase maintained in 2021, and ultimately the industry reacted. Stock market shareholders responded, the demand for games increased, studios hired more people. Then 2022 showed up. Some industry analysts, largely the people who tell rich people which things they should invest in, projected.
So what happened pretty much between 2020 and I guess 2010 and 2020 is that the games industry was projected to be like this mega big entertainment medium, right? And during that time, everyone's looking at it like, oh shit, let's get in on this. Now we can invest fully. Now that's when you start seeing these big AAA, like, monster budgets start to happen. But I think what she's going to talk about soon is that was the peak. That was it. So they were projecting something that they thought was going to keep happening, but it was like, no, that was going to be the peak. And now after that peak, what we're seeing now is like that dip of like, oh, y'all invested too much. It's kind of like how those people in 2020 who were investing in what's it called? Not Bitcoin, but what's the art? You know what I'm talking about? The NFTs. There you go. Yeah. Kind of like how people were like, oh, NFTs are going to be the next big thing. NFTs are going to be the next big thing. And they're going to be the next big thing. And then, boom, no, that was it. That was the peak. There's nothing after this. That's what's happening with the games industry, where like they overestimated where we were going.
It continued insane growth into 2022. Investment company ARK specifically projected $300 billion from the games industry, up from just under $200 billion. Some did expect the drop though, and it came. This is the part of this video that I feel like is really important for me to say. Some video game reporting, and I should say some of it is really excellent as well, is really not being clear enough about this particular facet of this whole picture. Like, people are just not talking about this, even though they definitely should be. It is extremely relevant. And I know this is a lot of data. It sounds like a bunch of numbers, but hear me out. In 2019, the games industry, or as the analysts call it, the world games content and services market, was worth $151 billion. In 2020, that grew to $182 billion. Big rise. 2021, it grew to $191 billion. In 2022, it dropped to $182 billion. This is when the layoffs started. Around 8,000 people lost their jobs in 2022 as a result of the industry constricting after the COVID growth did not sustain. It is time to talk about Aura. Did you know the Bank of America recently had a data breach and didn't tell anyone about it for several months? And you think they're the only ones doing that? Of course not. Citibank and JP Morgan just had them too. On average, these companies take 277 days to tell people about these kinds of data breaches. Meaning your data could be exposed right now and they just haven't told you yet. And you don't want that. Trust me, I had this happen to me once on New Year's Eve. So I spent my evening trying to figure out what to do while the person
y'all are in an ad?
found my compromised data was texting me, making fun of me, because they were watching me trying to lock them out of my accounts in real time. It sucked. Aura is an identity theft protection service that alerts you if your personal information, your phone number,
Oh,
or
we're
your
in
social
an
security
ad.
is
There we go.
time
That was
for Aura to
smooth.
find $1 billion, then it effectively seems to have stayed about the same. Basically, that is to say, still very profitable. 192 million is a lot of money, but growth flattened. While it is still way higher than it was in 2019, the point is that because it didn't make certain projections that investment companies were pushing on their clients who then bought shares in a lot of these companies, those shareholders didn't get the returns they expected because the investment companies massively overprojected the industry's growth.
Yeah.
And thus we have the problem that we are now in. It is not that video games aren't selling because they're all trash. It's still a very profitable industry. It's just that people pull out when profits aren't unrealistically profitable enough. Obviously, the games industry is largely publicly traded. I've said this before. I will say it again. The customer of the actual games industry is the stock market and not gamers. You are the consumer. You are not the customer. Everything they do is actually for the people who put all the money in the stock market. And I know it sucks, but that is absolutely how these corporations see you. You are a vehicle to fund their stock market success. And if the shareholders aren't happy, the industry has to desperately scramble to get those people some money. This is why so often you see a video game company make a choice that seems crazy to you. Like, we all kind of know that everybody hates live service games. Like, that's not a unique take. There are a lot of people who shit on live service games. And so people always go, why do they keep making these games that nobody wants? Why would they make a live service game right now? It's because it's not about you. They don't care about what gamers want. That's not the decision making that goes into making these kinds of games. It's about what the stock market wants, and the stock market loves itself a live service game because there is so much potential revenue, essentially. But yes, in essence, basically, games were so successful both prior to and especially in 2020 and 2021 that they set kind of impossible standards for 2023 and 2024, and when the uptick flattened, it is seen as a tremendous failure. I hate this whole system. It makes me want to die. There are parts of this that I don't want to gloss over, though. It is obviously more complicated than just that. You know, I previously said that the games industry was stronger than the GDP. That is no longer the case. Games, still very profitable, are declining in a way that isn't proportionate with surrounding industries, just as they succeeded in 2020 in a way that wasn't proportionate with surrounding industries. And there are some market trends that are specifically very negative for AAA games and the Western gaming market. For one, the market is considered mature. This is literally what some of the stockbrokers that I had actual calls with refer to the games industry as. They call it a mature market. That basically means that there just isn't a ton of room for growth because the market is so established. The rules are kind of there. The things people want are kind of there. The things people...
This is what I was saying earlier in the stream. Where gaming is already like set. Like the rules and how things work and what people want, it's already established. So there isn't much left to figure out. You know, Lou said market maturity is why extraction shooters are the hype right now. Yes. That's also why, like I was saying, I don't think even as this video is saying the games industry is screwed, right? But even with that, I don't even think our engagement with the hobby can change at this point. Not in any way that'll be like immediate or drastic, just because everything has been set. It's just like a mature market. It's a mature industry now.
People choose to play and spend money on are already pretty much there and have been figured out for a while. And for two, do people say that? I don't know. There are literally less gamers right now, percentage-wise, and this, I think, is especially very interesting. There is a reason for it, and it makes everything make sense. Compared to the rise in US population, again, percentage-based rather than numbers-based, less people are playing games. The percentage of the population that plays games overall has decreased. That said, average weekly playtime for people who play video games is up. What that means is the people who play video games, the slightly more hardcore players, are actually still all there. It's the casuals who've lost, the people who maybe played 1 hour a week that are no longer playing video games. People who are less engaged in the hobby are straight up just like not touching video games at this point. And
now, hold on. Let me say something right quick. Because I said this on Twitter recently. When y'all talk about not liking, or when y'all talk down on casuals, keep in mind, casuals are the main reason most of your franchises sell. And that's a good question, Burgundy. I'm not sure, but I think it does count mobile gaming. Yeah, I think it does. Actually, hold on. Let me look back. Yeah, it counts mobile. It says it right there at the, I don't know if y'all can see my mouse. Mobile's in the chart. Yeah. And Burgundy. Okay, yes, Honkai is the Honkai is being considered here. Honkai Star Rail. Don't worry, we ain't forget. No, but yeah. This is why I don't like even the way people talk about casuals and this new terminology with tourists and all that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, y'all don't want tourists? RIP game industry. Peace out. If you don't want casuals to participate in your medium, okay. Don't complain when your medium sees a constant decline. You know, people will say, "Oh, if you're not gonna play, if you're not gonna play every game in the franchise, don't even touch it." Okay, okay, all right, man. If that's how you want to do it. And the thing is, it's not just, when I say casuals, I think sometimes people think when you talk about casuals, you're talking about people who play casual leaning franchises. So stuff like NBA 2K and Call of Duty and all that, and how that makes up a large percentage of the people that play games. No, I'm even talking about the niche stuff. Y'all think the majority of people that buy Tekken are in the FGC? Y'all think the majority of people that buy like The Legend of Zelda are on Twitter like having conversations about weapon breaking? Y'all think the majority of people that play Final Fantasy are arguing about Tifa and cloud shipping? No, the majority of people buying all those games, even the ones y'all like, are the casuals, are the people who like, I just played it for 5 hours and I moved on. Like, those are the people that there are not. How much did Final Fantasy sell? Something million? Let's say like Final Fantasy 7 remake sold like 2 million or something. There are not 2 million hardcore Final Fantasy 7 fans who bought that game. It is not literally 2 million of them. Sorry. It's just not. It's not. And I know for some people that's like really hard to believe. Like, it's really hard to believe. But nah, man. Now, there are some franchises, right, that lean heavy into like having a mostly hardcore fan base. So stuff like Trails in the Sky, right? I think Trails in the Sky might have a higher proportion of like hardcore fans, right? But everything else, Athena, most Kingdom Hearts fans just like the Disney stuff and don't care to play every single game to find out. Yes, thank you. Kingdom Hearts is a good example. Kingdom Hearts is a very good example. Y'all be arguing like, oh, if you ain't play every game, you won't notice. Bruh, I promise you, a lot of the people who make up the success of your franchise are not doing that. You know? Sorry. I know y'all want to raise this flag like, oh, the hardcore gamers, we're the ones that are carrying. Nope. It's the casuals. They're the ones carrying the industry. They are. They just are. And if y'all want to keep pushing these people out and being hostile towards these people, good luck. Good luck, man.
Weekly playtime for people who play video games is up. What that means is the people who play video games, the slightly more hardcore players, are actually still all there. It's the casuals who've lost, the people who maybe played 1 hour a week that are no longer playing video games. People who are less engaged in the hobby are straight up just like not touching video games at this point. And a huge part of this, I think the biggest issue that is happening with all of these entertainment industries that feel like they're falling apart right now, this includes film and includes streaming services, is social video. I say as you watch my YouTube video, thank you so much. You have my permission to, at any time when watching any of my videos, to also be playing a video game in the background. If you're playing Blueprints while watching this right now, respect. I wish I was too. Basically, the games industry, again, pretty much all entertainment industries, frankly, all leisure industries are no longer competing with each other. Video games are not competing with other video games. It used to be that this company was competing with this company, EA and Ubisoft and whoever else. That's not currently the case or the issue. There's basically just an insane surplus of entertainment for people to consume right now. Yep. And there are only so many hours in the day for the average human, or everyone. Everyone only has so many hours in a day. For example, the amount of time adults in the US spend on TikTok per day is up by 35 million hours, up from 2020 and 2021. Let that sink in. Adults in the US are watching 35 million combined hours more TikTok than they were in 2020.
That's kind of crazy.
That is time being taken away from playing video games, and that is just TikTok. That is just one app. YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter are all doing the same thing. Phones are just so unbelievably accessible that people who used to maybe play an hour of a video game when they finish work, that's their downtime, aren't opting to do that anymore. They're instead pulling out their social media, scrolling TikTok for a few hours, and they don't even think about video games anymore. Social video, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, whatever else, is just so appealing to the average person that they are far more likely to pick up their phones and mindlessly scroll than they are to play a video game. It doesn't matter how good the video games are, it doesn't matter the quality, you are competing with something that is so unbelievably, intentionally addictive. And the people, you know, who are even playing like an hour a week, who are now just looking at TikTok instead, because that's what they want to do with their downtime, are no longer looking at the PlayStation store. They're no longer looking at the Xbox store. They're no longer...
You know what's crazy? Even gamers are addicted to their phones more than they are to playing games. There are people who enjoy, I mean, that's what we're doing right now, right? But I'd say the exception for me, I'd be playing video games. Here's the thing. The reason I don't be putting out a bunch of YouTube videos, the reason I be playing games. I think I might be, my goal is to be one of the most game playing ass content creators. Like, I play video games. Like, when you look at my hours, it's like, oh, he not just yapping for nothing. He not just yapping. But there are a lot of other gamers. There are a lot of other gamers that mainly just be yapping and barely be gaming. Lucid, I'm playing Arc Raiders right now. Hey, you getting it done, bro. I'm going to get back to Virtual Fighter after this. But Burgundy, they're trying to argue that watching a playthrough is basically the same as actually playing it because they don't play things. Yes, exactly, Burgundy. Jay, I definitely be playing it. Yeah, Jay Boulevard, you definitely be playing it. We know, Jay Boulevard. We know, Mr. Bruh. Let me remind y'all, I don't know if y'all was here when Monster Hunter Wilds came out. Bruh, this dude, Jay Boulevard, put 1,000 hours into Monster Hunter Wilds the first week. Y'all know why that's crazy? Y'all want to know why that's crazy? There are only 168 hours in a week. How did this dude put 1,000 hours into a monster? This dude time traveled. No, he put 1,000. I'm telling you, Jay Boulevard put 1,000. This dude time traveled in order to put more time into Monster Hunter Wilds. This dude is a fucking crackhead for this damn game, bro. Like, what? Like, y'all, I swear to God, I was like, yo, Jay Boulevard, can we let's play some Monster Hunter Wilds together, man. Let's play some Monster Hunter Wilds. Like, it's first week, you know, like, where you at? Where you at? And he was like, oh, dude, like, I 100%ed it. I was like, what the fuck? Dude, the game just came out. He was like, yeah. And I was like, dude, do you have a job? Like, he's like, yeah, I got a job, man. Now, also, I think he lying. I don't think, I'm not sure if Jay Boulevard actually has a job. I'm like, I need to see, I need proof after the amount of time this nigga put into Monster Hunter Wilds that first week. That was crazy, dude. This dude, bruh. This dude, when we were playing Monster Hunter Wilds together, and Eclipse was with us too. Eclipse is the other mod in the chat. Yo, Eclipse played Monster Hunter Wilds with us. Tell me I'm lying, Eclipse. When we had to went online together with Jay Boulevard, bro, we just sat there and watched him like just body the monster. We just sat there like, and he was like, y'all not coming? I was like, you got it, bro. You like, this dude was like handling he was flying everywhere. He was doing strategy. He was doing like strategies, bruh. This dude was flying across the map, like doing techniques that just came out that day. I was like, bro, you need to make a detour. Like, what the fuck? We didn't even have to play. Like, Jay, that's crazy, bro. Yes, bruh, he was dropping traps from the air. That's not even allowed. Like, dog. I don't know, man. That was ridiculous, bro. I don't know how this dude. That was crazy. Jay, we need proof that you got a job, man. I need proof.
No longer looking at Steam, so there are a bunch of games that they might even consider purchasing while they were already on those stores that they're not even thinking about anymore. This is one of the things that I think is going to be very interesting about GTA specifically. I wonder if GTA 6 coming out could be big enough that it gets people back to consoles or back to Steam. PC's actually still doing pretty well across the board, but gets people back to playing video games who've been lost to the hive mind of social video, which I'm sure even applies to people watching this video. It probably applies to a lot of you, actually. There are a lot of people who talk about video games online who are spending more time doing that than they are actually playing video games at this point. Like, if you reflect on the time that you personally are spending on social media these days versus playing video games, I can guarantee for vast majority of you, the social media is up and thus the video games are down. But I'm really curious to see if GTA 6 finally coming out and being the big event that a GTA always is, or that a Rockstar game always is, at least gets people back on the stores. So they may feel compelled to play other video games or pick up games that they had stopped playing. Basically, if you combine the leading social apps and look globally, the world spends 12.
One thing I will say, though, about this social media stat is that for me, most of the time, I can just speak for myself. When I'm on Twitter, I'm at work. So my time is up on social media because I use it a lot at work. So that will be time that I wouldn't be spending gaming anyway. But when I'm at home or when I'm with my girl, like I definitely tweet less. And I game less, obviously, when I'm with my girl. But if I'm alone and at home, I definitely am like gaming or watching like 90 Day Fiance. So yeah, I think these stats might be a little misleading because I know a lot of people are like this, where they're on social media in moments where they wouldn't be gaming anyway. But that's just my little 2 cents.
12 billion hours on social media in one day, which, as Data Reporter pointed out, is the equivalent to 1.4 million years of human existence. Let that sink in. By spending 1.4...
Vin saying, you know our Telegram's above Twitter. You know our Telegram's above Twitter. Dubai saying, welcome. Thanks for coming through. Free K Fridays. Let's go.
4 million years of existence per day on social media. Basically, the games industry is competing with something that is like custom tailored to steal all of your time and is as addictive as possible and does everything it can to prevent you from leaving and is losing that fight because how the fuck are you supposed to beat that? The TikTok mindless scroll, you don't even have to make a choice. You just eat the content that it feeds you over and over and over again, gives you the dopamine hit every time you see something new, Video games are not built that way. There are plenty of addictive video games. We've all played Balatro, okay? But they are just objectively not designed to be addictive in the same way that social media apps are. Video games straight up are not. Your Candy Crushes might be an exception, but social media functions or is able to fund itself by having you on the app for as long as possible and thus being able to serve you as many ads as possible. Because video games during playtime aren't actually serving you ads, they aren't inherently incentivized by stealing all of your fucking time. By competing with something that is of course going to win. And again, it's in no small part just because social media is so goddamn accessible. You don't have to do anything but pick up your phone. It's already on there. The of investors is down 77%. Addictive is winning, and as a result, funding, like I touched on earlier, this is a problem for all entertainment industries, not just video games. Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, PlayStation, Xbox, TikTok, and Instagram are now competing in the same bracket where they used to be separate. The one that is the most addictive is winning, and as a result, funding for the games industry, which can come up from all kinds of investors, is down 77% versus 2022, even though player spending is up. Investors who may have previously looked at funneling money into games are now instead funneling money into other industries like AI. Actually, a lot of it was AI. Again, some
I agree, Bison.
I spoke to directly told me that they were telling their clients to pull money out of the games industry and instead put it into AI, which goes hand in hand with social video. We're seeing AI all over social media. We're seeing stupid AI, Studio Ghibli art bullshit. Even the video games are using AI. You see that Ark trailer? Completely made from AI? I hate it here. This has, of course, absolutely impacted all of the recent video game studio closures and game cancellations. Things that used to be almost guaranteed to be funded no longer have that guarantee. Things that used to be considered commercial failures weren't that much of a big deal, or even really spoken about that much because there were always more investors ready to invest in video games. Because the investors have left, the studios that aren't just insanely profitable are being shut down. And by insanely, again, I mean like truly unfathomable margins of profit. It's not just a little bit. It's not okay to just make some money. You have to make an incomprehensible amount of money to succeed. This has obviously affected AAA games, but anyone who tells you indies will save us is wrong. Indies are also been really significantly hurt by this. There is no more funding for indie games to get made either. A lot.
I was just saying this. I don't know how many of y'all were here from earlier in the stream. I was just saying this. Indies are also in trouble. Now, the only saving grace is that I do think that there is a more they are seen as equivalent now, I think, to AAA. Like, people aren't making that distinction between indie, AAA, AA like they used to before. Expedition 33 is being treated just like a regular game to people in terms of how it's being discussed. So I think that's the only saving grace, is that there's like a perception thing that indies have transcended now, to where it's like an indie game is just a game now to people. But no, like, indies are still going through it. It's still an uphill battle. It's frustrating when people see mass layoffs and go, now indies will step up to the plate. Like, bro, no, nobody's giving indies money and they're barely hobbling along. Yes. The successes that we see with indies are very noticeable, but the amount of failures are higher. We just don't hear about the failures as much because they just come and go. How many stories are we seeing of indie studios that made hugely successful titles with sequels in the pipeline and those things get canceled? The follow-ups to Celeste and Night in the Woods spring to mind. Yes. Indies are having trouble too.
A lot of publishers just aren't really giving anyone any money anymore, and if they are, it's usually with like terrible and really exploitative deals. I'm currently working on an indie game. Check out Layers Deep. You can wishlist the game on Steam now. And in talking to a bunch of different people in the indie space about working on this game, I've had
or the
people
studio
directly
just
tell me
randomly
that we should get a
closes.
blank
Yes.
one instead of having the game be published, because the publishers are just so shitty right now. And all of these closures that we keep talking about aren't even actually a result of players not spending money. Like, statistically, that's not what's happening.
The thing with indie games is that there's probably a lot of trash in the middle of the ones that actually get attention. Yes, that's the other thing too. Again, we only hear about the successes. What's it called? What's that theory called? where you only notice the people that you use the few examples of people being successful to say that, like, oh, everybody can be successful. Survivor bias. Thank you. Yes, survivor bias. Yes. Survivorship bias. I think that's what it's called. Survivorship bias. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go back.
It's certainly a factor, of course, but it is not the whole picture. It is much more specifically that investors aren't investing in the games industry because other industries are currently projected to have that same huge rise that games had in 2020. And to be honest, this just sucks. Like, it really sucks. It just blows to know that the majority of people who are funding video games don't actually care about video games and will just like hop from us over to the next industry that is going to provide them with
Rest in peace, Iwata.
Insane, unsustainable growth as soon as we aren't giving them unsustainable growth anymore. I really feel like there's this magical sort of romantic idea that the people who fund video games just love video games and want them to succeed. And while I'm sure some of those people exist, that is certainly what the community does on Kickstarter. Majority of the time, it is just straight up not true. It's not even gamers who are funding video games. It is not even your sales, really, that are funding video games. It is just investors who want exponential growth. The video game industry is now providing a reasonable amount of growth and not insane exponential stonks only go up growth. And so they leave. They don't give a shit about anything other than arrow, go up. And we like to trick ourselves into thinking that vote with your wallet is all that really matters and gamers are making the decisions and controlling the games.
She's preaching right now. She's saying all the shit that I be saying. This is all the shit I be saying. When people talk about like, vote with your wallet, bruh. That's not how it works. Yes, when you buy things, they're more successful. But no, like this idea of like if we just buy the right thing, then the industry will go in the direction that we want to go. No. There are so many moving parts. There are so many external forces that push things in a specific direction to where you can buy the right thing all you want to. If the industry wants things to go in a particular direction, let me use an example because I love doing this so that it can put things into perspective. The music industry. When people talk about like, hey, why doesn't this artist that people like so much and is so talented, right? Why don't they get, the funding? Why don't they get the support? Why don't they get the marketing? And this shitty artist over here that everyone agrees is less talented doesn't get the marketing and doesn't get the push because the industry they don't want it to happen. They want the easy, digestible, easy to exploit artist that will do anything, that will listen to anything that will be easy to exploit. They want that artist, the one that's easier to exploit, easier to do budgets for, easier to work with, right? They want that to succeed. So it doesn't matter how much you support the more talented artist, the more creative artist, the harder working one, the one that cares more about the craft. It doesn't matter. The industry is like, oh, we don't want that to succeed. So we're gonna do everything we can to stop that from succeeding. That's how it works. That is how industries work. That is how capitalism works. It is not vote with your wallet. We buy the right thing, and now the thing that we want is going to happen more. No. Now, I'm not saying that's not a contributing factor at all, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy things that you want to support. You should still do that. Not because but you doing that isn't going to shift the winds of the industry. It's not going to shift the tides of where the industry wants to go. The industry already, the people at the top, the investors, the stockholders, the shareholders, and all these people, the execs, they are saying this is where we want things to go. And when you buy things, right? When you buy things that you want or that you want to support, like, you should do that for the people making the thing. Thank you for mentioning Sinners. Sinners is successful as fuck for an original film, but not that success does not mean stakeholders will suddenly start letting everyone make original movies. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Frostnix. Yes. So you should still support Sinners, right? Because that's going to help the creators of Sinners specifically. That's going to help Ryan Coogler make more movies. That's going to help Michael B. Jordan get casted in more things. But that's not going to make the executives all of a sudden be like, oh, this is the direction to go. No. That vote with your wallet shit is a myth. That is not real. That is not real. And I'm glad I can say this on stream. I don't want to say this online on Twitter because I'm going to get dragged and people are going to remove the nuance of all of what I'm saying. But I'm glad I could say it here. It's like, that vote with your wallet shit is a reductive talking point. It is a reductive way of looking at things. Like, you're not going to shift the tides just by buying the right thing enough times. Like, that's not how it goes. People think one individual person's money vote is going to make the difference between the companies. Thank you. No, yes. Jalen Devon, the ownership class wants this in literally every industry. Yes. Thank you, Jalen. Yes.
That get made, but we aren't. It's the stock market. Again, obviously, sales do contribute to that somewhat, but it is much more specifically about wanting that projected exponential growth and not just the profit that the average gamer can provide. It is a requirement for a huge spike is all the stock market cares about. And as I kind of touched on, this is almost definitely why Microsoft, despite knowing that they would get a bunch of backlash and nobody really wants it, certainly no fucking game devs want it, recently announced a stronger foray into AI. The AI market is expected to grow from $638 billion in 2024 to $3,680 in 2030. These projections can, of course, be wrong, just as they were when some analysts suggested the games industry was going to continue rising dramatically into 2024 rather than just sort of comfortably plateauing with billions of dollars. And even if or when it is wrong, you can bet those investors will once again hop to whatever industry is projected to have huge growth so they can get in early, make a bunch of money. Again, this is my opinion, of course, likely why.
Athena, I feel like even if voting with your wallet does make the industry listen, they're going to learn the wrong lessons every time. Yes, for sure.
Microsoft just recently announced a new generative AI program called Muse. It's likely a play to get more funding because the stock market currently says that AI is extremely valuable. So the layoffs are there to help the games industry with short-term margins, but are not expected to actually help the games industry in any long-term way. The layoffs are just directives coming from CEOs who are just trying to restore shareholder value as quickly as they lost it, which, you know.
One more thing on that point, Athena, even with the industry listening, right? This is the other thing that happens with the vote with your wallet thing. Like, just going to your point of thinking about the best case scenario of the industry listening to that vote, right? Even after they listen to that vote, right? What usually happens after they're like, oh, y'all like this? Then let's do this now. What usually happens even when they continue? They sneak in some bullshit for the next thing that you wanted. It's like, oh, okay, we're going to give you this now. We're going to give you the thing that y'all wanted, but let's throw in some bullshit. Let's throw in like, oh, let's sneak in some AI. Let's sneak in some microtransactions. Let's sneak in some, let's turn it into something. that is what happens even when they listen, air quotes, right? So yes, there's the wrong lesson, and then there's the, oh, we can exploit this thing that y'all want and twist it to be something else. You know?
Fuck you.
Like, sorry, I'm who wanted Marathon to be, and I'm interested in Marathon, but no one was asking for Marathon to be like an extraction shooter or a free to play, not a free to play thing, but a live service thing. Right? And I'm looking forward to it. I'm still interested in Marathon. But I don't think if you sat gamers down and said like, hey, what do y'all want from a sequel to this very influential first person shooter from the 90s? I don't think everyone would have sat down and said, let's turn it into an extraction shooter. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't mean I'm saying the game is going to be bad. That means I'm saying even when they listen or do interesting things that, you know, appeal to the more hardcore gamer, they'll even try to exploit that and do bullshit with it, you know?
But also, it is their jobs. They're attempting a quick fix, but it will absolutely not work in the long run, and I'm sure that they know this. The report from Apelion actually covers this really, really well. They basically present that the industry is significantly underperforming on the stock market because growing faster than the GDP and at the rate it was effectively really fucking lucky. It is extremely rare and was never going to last. Past 10 years spawned a bunch of new things that were just very appealing to investors. Mobile gaming is more accessible than ever before with the advances in smartphones. Free-to-play games blew up and unlocked whales, being people who spend a lot of money on one specific game. Then battle passes and the COVID boost and the rise in social gaming. These tools are largely exhausted. They don't have means to continue to exponentially rise in the way the stock market demands. People have kind of run out of fancy gimmicky ideas that they can sell to the stock market to be like, look, see, we unlocked a new means to make profit. Again, mature market. There's also the issue of the industry just like straight up not having enough human beings available.
Athena, Sega making a live service Jet Set Radio was such an insane move. You're killing it, Athena. That is a great example of what I'm talking about. Yes. Jet Set Radio being a live service, that's not what people were asking for when they were asking for Jet Set Radio.
By that I mean, and this one is very interesting, the population on Earth is not increasing rapidly enough to produce enough gamers for these exponential growth demands. Like, literally, there does not seem to be enough new people playing video games to meet the growth demands. We have run out of humans. Turns out the decline in birth rates is really bad for billionaires. If you ever wonder why Elon Musk keeps impregnating his reply girls on Twitter, that could be part of it. If you don't have significantly more people to consume the product that you make, you can't have huge, unprecedented growth on the stock market. It has to stagnate. Which, yeah, is terrifying for billionaires, turns out. To paint this particular picture,
that's something I never thought about. Like, enough people aren't being created for even like this exponential growth to happen. That is an interesting point.
More, I don't know, vividly, the iPhone was huge for games. A bunch of people went and bought iPhones and played mobile games for the first time ever, providing the kind of exponential growth that you need to justify the stock market to get people to invest in your industry. The industry is actually in no small part relying on population growth and smartphone adoption in poor countries. Like, this is an actual thing that is actually being focused on by the mega corporations who make video games. The logic is that everybody in wealthy countries kind of already has a smartphone. There aren't any more people to sell them to. If they can figure out means to have people in poorer countries also all owning smartphones and having good internet connections, then they can make them play video games. Which is also why I say the Xbox This Is an Xbox campaign makes a ton of sense. Their approach to cloud gaming technologies are really all about accessibility, and thus make a ton of sense. It maybe doesn't appeal to you or I like the core gamer. I'm sure that they knew that when they announced this marketing campaign, that a lot of core gamers wouldn't like it, but that's because it's not about us. It's about the stock market, as every fucking thing else is. Market share.
Exponential growth is always hilarious. If we know pyramid schemes don't work, why do these companies think that they will grow exponentially forever? Yes, 1000%. It's the myth of capitalism that you can keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You even see this in the content creation space in terms of how people don't seem to ever feel like they're doing enough, even if they're doing fine. That's something I'm even having to learn of, like, no, like, be okay with where you're at and focus on being sustainable instead of like, oh, how can it just keep going? How can I keep going up? How can I keep? No, why does it have to keep going up? If this is fine, find a way to just make sure that is sustainable.
Share-wise, it just makes perfect sense. They are moving away from consoles and exclusives and instead pushing for global accessibility. They are trying to get more people playing video games with less need for devices because they're trying to target poorer countries. This is a shift that is very well in line with the reality of the current state of the games industry, as it lines up with the stock market specifically, obviously, which is that the current system that you and I are aware of and probably happen to really...
J Boulevard, this is why I don't have children, to upset the bourgeoisie, not because I play too much Monster Hunter. You keep telling yourself that,
is
man.
just no longer capable of exponential growth. Kind of touched on this earlier too, but obviously in theory, it is just much easier to get somebody who is already on a device to engage with your thing on that same device. It is much easier to get somebody who's already on TikTok on their phone to play a game on their phone than it is to get them to get off TikTok and maybe jump over to buying a PC and playing a game. It's just make that connection as small as possible to get people playing video games. I would not be surprised if you start seeing a strategy be announced from any of the big publishers, from Microsoft, from Sony, from whoever else, that is much more integration than I think actually the Stadia was kind of going for, but clearly the tech wasn't ready yet. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if you announced Stadia now.
Google Stadia came and went.
If it kind of popped off. But I'm basically expecting tech that like you watch a YouTube video where I talk about a game in this. Have I mentioned any specific video games? I mentioned Blueprints. Okay, I mentioned Bellatra, where the minute that I say those words, you get a little ad and then you click it and it immediately figures out a way to launch that on your phone. Like seamless integration. You're watching a YouTube video, you click something, you immediately access a streaming version of that video game. I would think engineers at these companies are actually working very hard on this particular thing right now. It's an attempted solution for finding growth to mine where there effectively is nothing else right now. And I didn't even mention the monopolies or black hole games here, like Fortnite, Call of Duty, Counter-Strike, League of Legends, and Minecraft are straight up eating the industry alive. These are in some ways managing to compete with social videos in terms of hours of consumption. These few games have sucked in more and more players, resulting in less spend across the board. If you have most gamers getting sucked in by a black hole game, so they're all just kind of playing the same stuff, it makes sense that investors would spend money relating to those specific things, but there are only like fucking 5 of them. The rest of the industry, layoffs, shutdowns, closures. I don't really know how else to conclude this video. The conclusion is ultimately...
So that's pretty much it. Yeah. So that was a good video. And it kind of sums up everything we were talking about on this stream. With some other interesting points too sprinkled in there, yeah. But no, yeah, it is. I think it's more dire than people think, or than some people understand. People talk about a lot of times, has gaming peaked? But usually they use that in the context of like graphics and that kind of thing. But industry-wise, I think we're seeing now gaming has peaked. If you want to get really like existential about it, I feel like every medium has peaked. Music peaked a while ago. Music has peaked in terms of growth and the same thing happening to gaming now happened to music maybe like a decade ago. Movies, like TV, all of it, they're doing the most that they could have done now already. Their best days are behind them in terms of like growth. The only way out is to go back. Burgundy, I agree. We have to deconstruct everything. I don't believe anything has peaked. You don't believe anything has peaked? In what way? Because I'm not talking about artistically or creatively. I don't think creatively you can peak. I don't think that's a thing. But I'm talking about commercially and capitalistically. Things have peaked. especially now that we're in this era where all of these things, like they said in the video, are competing with each other. Um, like I don't know how many unks we have left in the chat, but do y'all remember in the 2000s, right? I think I said this in an earlier stream. There are several eras, right, where certain art forms or certain mediums were the main character of that era. So the one example I'm going to give is that in the early 2000s, and y'all let me know if you disagree with this or not, depending on how old you are and how aware you were during this time. The early 2000s, music was the main character in terms of like entertainment. And when I say the early 2000s, I mean like 2000 to 2009. Music was a big deal. Like everybody was super into music. Everybody was like downloading shit, sharing CDs. There were blogs specifically dedicated to music. Music videos were getting the biggest amount of budgets. You know, everybody was like, oh, I'm gonna start a band or I'm gonna be a rapper. Like music was the main character in terms of entertainment. And then the 90s is arguable, but I want to say in the 90s TV was the main character. Yeah. So I feel like we go through eras, right, where certain entertainment art forms or certain entertainment mediums kind of become like the main thing people are consuming or the main thing people are into, right? And I think gaming kind of had a moment around I guess the era she's talking about, 2000. When did the PS4 come out? When did the PS4 come out? 2012, 2013. There you go. So I want to say 2013 to 2020. It can be argued that gaming became like a main character, right? Because this is when yeah. Yes, 2010s was like gaming was the main character. Now we're getting to a point where yes, PS4 and Switch did amazing, Fortnite grew, all that kind of stuff. And the rise of Twitch. Twitch was becoming a big deal. People were investing into esports and all that kind of stuff. All right, Cell Device. Peace out, man. We got to play again. Well, I don't know. I'm taking a break from Fatal Fury for a bit, but yeah, good luck out there, man. That game is tough. But yeah, Fortnite, the rise of Twitch, esports and all these sorts of things, Grand Theft Auto 5, PS4, the Switch, all that stuff was happening from like 2012 to 2022. That's what I'm going to say, 2012 to 2022. So that's when gaming, but now we're entering an era where gaming is no longer the main character anymore. And I think we're also leaving the era of like there being main characters of entertainment. And now it's like all of these entertainment mediums are kind of co-starring and competing with each other now. So yeah, that's where I think we're at, and it's going to be interesting to see how the industry navigates all of this and how us as gamers and us as players react to all of this stuff. But yeah, short form content might be a main character right now. Yeah, I think maybe I don't know. I'd say short form. Yeah, that's the stuff I see all the normies watching. I wouldn't even say streamers. I feel like streaming is kind of declining now too, actually, but I'm not sure. But you guys, this was an amazing stream. I'm glad we had this conversation. Please remember, don't go easy on the collector's editions. Go easy on the Steam sales. Don't sell your games. Don't sell all your games to GameStop. Save some stuff to sell to eBay. Get a job so that you not only have money to buy these games, but you also have a connection to normal people, right? So you're not terminally online all the time. And yeah, just do your best to navigate these trying times, okay? Just be responsible and be smart about how you navigate everything that's going on right now. Gaming is going through a rough patch, but we're gonna be all right, y'all. We're gonna be all right. We are going to survive. We're gonna get through this. Anyway, I'm gonna see y'all next week. Thanks for coming through. I'm gonna eat something. Peace out.